everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today, I'm joined by Shari Rash, nationally recognized wealth advisor, founder of GWA Wealth, and host of the award winning podcast, Everyone's Talking Money, with over 25 million downloads. We are diving into money, mindset, identity, power, and freedom, and how to build a healthy relationship with wealth. Shari, welcome to the show.
Thank
It's
you for
so nice
having
to have
me.
you here.
Thank
All
you.
right. So, can you tell us who is Shari beyond the titles, number, and success?
Oh, that's a good way to start it off. I would say I'm a wife, I'm a mother. I have four children. I'm always trying to get better, be better, do better, learn more about myself. I turned 40 my last birthday, and that was a big point in my life where you sit back and you evaluate what went well, what didn't, what could you do over again, what do you not want to continue into your next 40 years. So I would say that that's probably my big focus right now, is just trying to be the best that I possibly can be.
Okay. All right. So I'm actually excited because we're talking money, right?
Mhm.
Money gets me excited. So, what was your earliest memory around money and how did it shape you, basically?
Yeah. I love that question. And I ask that question a lot to my clients, to my guests. And your earliest money memory can really tell you what your relationship with money is. So, my earliest money memory was actually when I was like 14 years old. It's when I got my first job. And my dad said to me, if you want to buy stuff, I've always liked to buy things, have things. You need to start spending your own money. Okay,
Mm.
fine. So you got to go get a job. Okay, fine. And so I babysat a little bit, but like there really wasn't much of an opportunity. So I had to go get a job. And I went around to different restaurants to see who would hire me. And then finally a restaurant hired me. I was a little bit young. So that many weren't comfortable with bringing on a 14-year-old. And I was making toast. So I was making toast and waffles for a breakfast restaurant. And I did it on the weekends. And my first shift, I took my job very seriously. And my first shift, the servers tipped me out. So they ended up
Mm.
giving me part of their tip the same way they would give a busser tips. And I came home. I was also being paid an hourly wage, but I came home and I had just all this cash. I remember just reaching into my apron and just pulling all of this cash out of my apron. And it was like,
Mhm.
holy mackerel. And then it was like, this is great. Like I worked a few hours, made this money. This is awesome. And I get to go back tomorrow and do it all again. And then every weekend would go and the same thing. And I ended up just accumulating all of this cash, and I would like separate it, put it into piles. This goes to the bank. This is what I'm spending. And I liked to visualize my cash and count it and touch it and feel it, spend it. I did spend it and save it for different things. So that was my first, real experience with money and the most profound memory that I have.
Oh, wow. All right. So, okay, growing up, yeah, when did you realize that money isn't just math, but it's psychology, identity, and emotion, basically?
So it took it I realized it quite young, actually, like um with talking to friends about money, and how they would just make comments about it, what they can afford or can't afford. And I could tell that there was like an emotion placed on it.
Mm.
But I was in high school. Like I was still young. So I wasn't exactly able to pinpoint it. And then as I was went through college and got my first job as an advisor, I started to see more and more the emotion that people put on money. And especially with speaking with other women about money, we will put shame and not feeling good enough. And
Mm.
so it's just a lot of little events that would just add it up for me to realize like, oh wow, like there's something more. Money isn't just numbers, because I always kind of just look at it as numbers. Money isn't just numbers. We put these things on it, and often it's how we were raised, how we grew up, what we heard our parents saying about money, is what shaped the emotions that we have with money.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so why do you now think that money? Why do many people struggle with money basically, even when they earn well?
Because we're never taught about money. No
Mm.
one ever really sits us down and talks to us about money. Most parents, if they have a negative relation, most if they have a negative relationship with money, they'll talk about money in a bad way, or they'll
Mm.
say, they're rich, or, if you have money, you're a bad person, or, money is the root of all evil, or like you'll
Yeah.
say things like that. And so that's all we hear about money are all these negative things. So by default, we then have that opinion, and we don't realize it's negative because it's just what we grew up with. It's just
Mm.
normal. So a lot of people have a bad relationship with money just from prior generations, how they heard their parents talk about money, and all of that. And if we're not taught about money, how can we feel good about it if no one
Mm.
sits us down and teaches us, here are the responsible things to do with money? Here are some good things to do with your money. If we're never taught that and we just hear the negative, then by default, we're going to have a negative relationship with money.
Okay. In a way, I kind of relate to what you just said because you made me remember his story. Like, basically, I know I'm still young, right? But growing up, when I was much more younger, they always tell us that the rich people, they were bad people because they had money. And when I see someone that has money, they'll be like, no, you don't know what they did to get there. If you know, you wouldn't do it. I'm like, are you sure? So growing up now to where I am, I feel like no, there's nothing spiritual attached to money, right? They basically did some certain things of which we don't know about, but we just tag it that they did something bad, right? Okay, so
Right. I mean, if what I say is money like amplifies or money intensifies who you are. So
mm,
if you are a not nice person without money, when
mm,
if you then get money, you're going to be that much more of a not nice person
yeah,
if you're a bad person. If you're a good person and then you get money, you're just going to become a better person. It just makes you more of who you are. So obviously there's good and bad everywhere. There's bad poor, there's bad
good.
rich, there's good rich, it's there. So whoever you are, money just doesn't change it, it just further intensifies it.
Okay, wow. All right, that sounds amazing actually. So what's the biggest society lies that tells us about wealth? I feel like we just spoke about that, but I'd like to hear from you actually.
Yeah, I think that that's what it is. If you have money, you're bad, or they did something bad to get it. I think that's one of society's things, or will or people judging what someone should do with their money. Like if someone's rich, oh well, they should do X, Y, and Z with their money. Um, so I think just judging other people and their money or lack thereof, right? Assuming someone has money, just based on appearances, right? So it's like kind of like counting other people's money. Like I think that's just something society does. And some of it is human nature. Like we can't help it a little bit because it's like, oh, how do they afford that? How can they live in that house? How can they drive that car? And you try to do the math in your head. So I think just we need to focus and just staying in our own lane a little bit more. And I'm guilty of it too. Like I need to do that myself. So just because I'm a money expert doesn't mean I'm not guilty of that. But so stop worrying about everyone else. Just focus on yourself.
All right. Okay, everyone, you've heard from the money expert herself. She just said it. All right. So why is money still, such a complicated and emotional topic for women, basically? I think women, right?
Yeah, I mean, women in America, women only started to get the same rights to money as men in the 1970s, which is 50 years ago. So there are people alive right now that lived a life where women did not have equal rights as men when it comes to money. Prior to 1974, women couldn't have a bank account in their own name. They had to have it with their father if they were single or their husband. And so we're women are behind, right? It's not ladylike to talk about money. It's taboo. It's not a polite conversation. So we're still living with all of that stuff. And it's going to take a long time to break it. But it's conversations like the one we're having. We are both women and we're having a very nice conversation about money so that it can be done, and it's done most of the time, right? And we need to learn that talking about money isn't opening up your pocketbook and sharing how much you have. I talk about money all day long, but I never share balances or investment accounts or anything like that. There's so much more to money than just talking about how much someone has or how much they don't have. So I think once women realize, one, we need to have these conversations. We don't just leave it up to our husbands or our partners to figure it out. We need to figure it out ourselves. So I think that's the first step, is one, accepting that, like, we need to be involved. And that doesn't mean knowing what's going on in the stock market at all points in time, right? It doesn't mean becoming an expert like that. It just means having some knowledge, fundamental knowledge of money, and not leaving it up to someone else is the first step. And then the next step is talking about it, finding resources, finding friends, finding people that you can talk to, conversations you can listen in on, like ours, to get you more comfortable with money. So you remove that money's taboo. Women shouldn't talk about money. It's not ladylike. Just removing that verbiage that we've heard for so many years.
Wow. So, I'm actually moved to ask, like, what are the need to know about money? What do you think everyone should know about money?
Yeah, I mean, and everywhere is different, right? So, what should we know about money? One, where it is, how much you have, how much, very basically, how much goes in and how much goes out, right? And in your 20s, that's fundamental, right? So as a 20 something, so how much am I earning? How much am I spending? And then saving, getting into the habit of saving. That is essential when you are younger. Getting into that habit when you're younger, and don't push it off to when you're older, like, oh, I'll just save money when I'm older and more responsible, because the truth is you're going to have more expenses and life's going to be way more expensive then. So do it now when life is inexpensive. So I would say those are the the things to get your hands wrapped around. First is having an understanding of what's going in, what's going out, how to save, and then how to invest, how to make your money become more, how to multiply it.
Hmm. Okay. Wow. All right. So, I'd like to ask, why do people, self-sabotage financially? How do you think people do that?
Yeah, and it's not on purpose, right? Self-sabotage is not on purpose. It happens, and it just likely happens because of the relationship you have with money. Or you may, if someone's making money, it's like, oh, this feels weird. I don't deserve this. Feeling like it, it shouldn't come to you. So then you do things to potentially lose the money. So it's just coming down to feeling like I don't I don't deserve this. I can't accept this. And then making choices or not making choices that then threaten you losing the potential success you could have. So you need to say that you're worthy of success. I'm worthy of money. I deserve, I deserve this. That's your the biggest best way to combat the self-sabotage is to fix what's going on in your head and telling yourself you are worthy of this.
Wow. All right. When you were speaking, I couldn't help but ask this. Like, I picked out that one thing, and I'd like to ask, like, what kind of relationship should people have with money?
So that's a good question because, obviously I want everyone to have a good relationship with money, but that's
Mm,
not realistic, right?
right.
Because that would be undoing like a lifetime worth of work or lifetime experience, right? So I
Yeah.
think the best thing is try your best to look at money as neutral, like just
Mm,
numbers. It is what it is. And so we are not, just try your best to not slap your emotions onto
mm,
money. And if you can at least recognize, like, hey, I'm coming from a negative place when it comes to money, just recognizing that is half the battle. So if you just realize, like, hey, I am negative when it comes to money, that helps to just change your mindset and just get you to the neutral place. So just getting to neutral, looking at money as the numbers, as the data versus all this other stuff we put
mm.
on it. If you're able to do that, you're going to be successful as far as money goes, your relationship with money goes.
Wow. I felt like you spoke to me directly because before now I attach way too much emotions on money. I was
Yeah.
like, if I'm speaking to you right now, you would know because I'm joyful because we're talking about money. But that's me attaching so much emotions on it. So yes, I'm going to take what you said now and I'll actually, implant it in my daily life because I want to be successful, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Just, it's just checking yourself. It's just being aware of
Mm,
the way you're thinking, what you're doing. Just the awareness is key.
okay, wow. All right. Awareness is key. Okay, so this moved me to my final question, actually, which is what would you define success as?
What would I define success as? I define, so there's so many different directions you could go, with earning a certain amount or feeling a
Mm,
certain way, knowing, being debt free. Or, I had a conversation with someone recently that, success is being able to leave and pick my kids up from school every day, which I'm
mm,
now able to do. So many people would define that as successful. So I think, honestly, I think it depends on the day. What how I'm feeling. Like some days it is money driven. Some days it is I want to earn X amount and feel this way, and that's going to determine it. Other days it's like I don't have to work today and everything's going to be okay. And my lights are still going to be on and I'm still going to have money in the bank, and that's success. So I think it really depends on the day. So it's whatever that day I feel, whatever makes me feel good.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, whatever makes you feel happy is
Mm-hmm.
success, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That sounds amazing. And yes, this has been really, really inspiring. And I hope my listeners can, apply this to their daily life. And yes, thank you so much for coming on here to share your knowledge about money with us. I do appreciate that actually. And yeah, my final question is where can people get to know more about you, basically?
Yeah. So the best way would be just listening to my podcast, Everyone's Talking Money, TALKIN,
Okay.
and signing up for my Talking Points newsletter. And you can go to everyone's talking money podcast.com to sign up for the newsletter. And every week I just give you some more information, things to think about, little actions to
Mhm.
take to help improve your relationship with money.
Alright. I'm definitely doing that one for sure.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much for coming on here. And thanks for Thanks for tuning into Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, do well to share to someone who you think might need this, and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes.